Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gentle Friday Yoga, again, sponsored by the Boston Public Library through Hand Start Center. I just want to start us off with a reminder that this is a practice that we are taking part in on stolen land. And also, I come into this space as a white woman in a matter of hoping to learn more rather than appropriate and take pieces of a culture that is not my own. The intention before, I know it was heavy, the intention for this class was to create some space for emotion, at least for me. Given the recent events, I think we just really need to take some time to be there for our Black and Brown sisters and brothers and what is happening in the world. That being said, we're here to take a breath. I'm just kind of setting up my space right now, just kind of moving my mat, noticing what's in front of me. I have 2 blocks. These are a little smaller, just yoga blocks for me to have something to kind of lean on, something for some support. So as you're setting your intention, that can be anything. Intention can be a color, can be a theme, maybe a song or a phrase that you've enjoyed over the past week, month, year, whatever that may be. You can bring that to the front of your mind while I tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. So I teach a style of yoga called Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is meant to be very static. So we have things like flow yoga. We have things like Vinyasa. Hatha Yoga is very much not a Vinyasa class. So you will notice a little bit more of a stop and breathe here. Think into kind of your breath. Focus on nice, thoughtful, deep movement of breath. And I say that because in the yoga that I was taught, the first piece of any practice is specifically coming to that point and finding your breath. So without the breath, we don't really have a practice. In fact, in Sanskrit, the word asana means pose, and pranayama is energetic breath. So pranayama is never really done until, or at least it's never done without asana, but also asana poses are never really done without stopping and focusing on that breath. So we'll start with that. So Hatha Yoga translates to sun and moon yoga. And there's a lot to it. So today, what you'll see in my class, I am Julie. You will see me lead a nice little grounding meditation, kind of setting the intention, some space for you. Some pranayama. You will see some asana in the form of sun salutations to kind of warm us up. From there, we will move into some standing poses, seated poses, and then finally ending in a nice long shavasana, which will be about 10 minutes. So before we start, again, I just want to remind you of my intention to create space for emotion, given the events that are very much not normal and not okay in the past few weeks, these racially driven events that have occurred. I just would like to set that up. And then again, acknowledge that I am a white woman leading this class, and I'm very much here to share my knowledge and not appropriate anything. That being said, come to a seated point on your mat. Maybe you're not even on your mat. Today, I felt like I needed something more, so I've got some weights around my ankles, just like half a pound each. I just needed something different. I don't know about you, but today felt very heavy. Of course, we all have been kind of paying attention to the trial that's been going on of Derek Chauvin. So here you are in your space. Right now, I've got my feet pressed together, so heel to heel, toe to toe. Kind of like if you're going to clap your hands, just bringing your hands like this. That's what my feet kind of look like. And I'm just kind of focusing in on what my body is asking me to do. Like maybe I'm bringing my head over to the left shoulder and then over to the right, just kind of dropping into my body for maybe the first time today and asking what I really would like to do. So pause here for a moment and begin to kind of drop into, maybe not even to your body, but into that zone where you feel you are most honoring your practice. Again, this is your time to set an intention, a color, a word, a phrase, For me, it is peace and space for emotion. If nothing comes to your mind, feel free to steal that one from me. I won't be upset. Again, I've used this one before, but the intention of offering ourselves some harmony while the exterior environment is in crisis. Space, peace, space for emotion. So we'll go right into pranayama. I'm just going to kind of widen my stance a little bit. Let me just duck my head of my computer down a little bit. Okay. So I'm kind of seated, like I was in a butterfly position here, just kind of taking some time and taking a few breaths. But now what I'm going to do is kind of move to a modified crisscross seated position. Just want to crack my back first. Woo. Before we get into it. So from here, I kind of have one foot slightly in front of the other. I always have my right foot slightly in front of my left. It's just kind of a preference that I like to take. It makes me feel more comfortable, and it really helps to kind of alleviate some tension in my hips. So from here, I'm going to flip my palms to face upward. Kind of a way to release some energy into the atmosphere around us, while maintaining a slight bend in your elbows. This kind of nice little, it's like if you were holding a basket in front of you and your fingertips were touching. You'll bring those to your inner thighs. Have some space here. Breathe normally here. If you've been breathing through your mouth, seal your lips and breathe through your nose. This is your ujjayi, this is your breath of fire. The reason that I bring that in today is just to kind of clear some space out. Now let's try it. Let's inhale through the nose and then we'll exhale through the mouth. So let's try that. Maybe you decide to flip your palms face down on your knees or your inner thighs. Maybe facing your palms face down gives you a little bit more room to kind of extend up through the spine. Wherever you are, you can meet me. Again, ujjayi, breath of fire. This time we'll inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth on a that kind of sound. So using that ha kind of vowel. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth on a ha. Ha. Same thing. Maybe make it breathier this time. Inhale through your nose. Now you'll notice I kind of let my chin elevate and depress while I take this breath. You're more than welcome to do that. It's more of a style choice for me. It just feels a little bit better in my body. I'm going to inhale through my nose. Exhale through my mouth on a. Let's go for 10 rounds. We just did like 3. Let's do 6 more. Inhale. Exhale on a ha through the mouth. Again, inhale. Exhale through the mouth on a ha. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. I sometimes find that when I start these movements, I tend to go right on through without even stopping. So I want us to take a second and catch our breath, feel like we actually have some benefit of this breath. Inhale. Exhale on a ha. A couple more rounds. Maybe 2 more rounds here. Inhale. Last one. See if you can make this your best breath yet. Filling up your lungs and then expelling all the air out through a ha through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Nice job. Nice start. So from here, before you start moving, notice if you feel like you're missing something in your practice. Maybe you're hot or cold. Maybe you feel like you need to grab some blocks and put them beside you. I have little travel blocks. Just as an assistive device for me if I should need it. I'm going to grab a sip of my water. And when you're ready, you can meet me in standing so we can go into half of our sun salutation. So I always teach this just from the side, just because I think it can be easier to see, specifically for everyone who's watching. This is just a great way to warm up our spine when we start to do these practices. So here I am, you see me from the side. What I'm going to do is inhale my arms out to the sides here, all the way up overhead, and then I exhale and I'm going to bend over completely. Here's when you might want your yoga blocks. So for me, I'm going to grab my yoga blocks. They're just little travel ones. Place them at the highest measurement for me, and enjoy this nice flat spine I'm seeing. When I say exhale, you'll let go completely, which means maybe just bending your knees deeper and letting some tension out of your neck. If that's not what that looks like, that's totally fine. If you stay in halfway lift, perfectly fine. Exhaling here. Inhale to come up. Maybe you roll your spine slowly. Normally I would go wide, but this time I think I'll roll up my spine. Whew. Okay, there's one. Inhaling my shoulders and then bringing them back down. Whew. Taking a nice little back bend here. My body wants a little bit more movement, so that's exactly what we'll do. We'll try it one more time. Arms out to the side and up overhead. Inhale. Exhale, fold over. This time, fold over all the way. Nice big bend in your knees. Let your head hang. Inhale up halfway, using the yoga blocks as an assistive tool to help get into your practice. Maybe you exhale again and let your head fall to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Same thing, roll up through the spine. Whew. Going up vertebra by vertebra to just get yourself in a place where you feel like, okay, this is good, I'm moving around. Take that again at your own pace, but then just add any specific personalizations, modifications, whatever you'd like. Personally, I'm coming down onto my knees because I know that I want to take a downward facing dog and then maybe pedal out through my legs. Whew. And I'll come back up through Sun Salutation. We'll do it one more time, just one of a half salutation. Just to get myself in this headspace of saying, hey, here we are. We're jumping into yoga, reminding our body why we're here. So I'll inhale my arms out to the sides. I'll exhale and begin to fold over my legs. I'll come down completely. I'll just skip the blocks right now and leave a big bend in my knees. On my inhale, I'll extend my arms, put my palms on the blocks, extend my spine. Maybe that means coming up on your fingertips even to get a little bit more length. Letting some tension go here. Same thing we've done. Inhale, roll up through the spine. Notice if you start to kind of rush that slow roll up. I know that I tend to do that. See if you can make that not the case. Moving the screen so you can see me better. Here we go into our full Sun Salutation. So I've done some before. This is basically the full version of what we just did, the half of. So that being said, it'll look very similar. We're just going to add in downward facing dogs, a lunge, which is a low lunge, and then also a variation of a transition. So that being said, if you are someone who likes a plank, you're able to take a plank. If you are someone who likes a nice tabletop position and maybe a cat-cow in place of a plank, feel free to take that as well. So here we go. We're standing up. We'll fold over halfway. Exhale, fold over all the way. From here, you can look forward, and then I'm going to send my right leg behind me in a low lunge. So here's the shape that I'm in. I'm going to tilt this screen because I think this is a weird angle. Okay, so I'm in this low lunge. My back knee is on the ground. My front knee, I kind of like to clasp my hands and press away. Maybe sinking into this hip a little bit. Opening up the right hip, sinking into the left, but not so much where I feel like I'm like dumping my energy out. Exhale and press yourself back just for a little second. This is a nice little half split. I like this position because it gets a nice stretch in the front hamstring. Inhale, lean forward again. Nice little lunge. Decide if you would like to take a kind of rocking back and forth like we did with the going forward in a lunge, coming back into a half split. If not, you can curl your back toe and bring your left toe to meet in downward facing dog. Advice to you here, make sure that your downward facing dog is whatever you feel comfortable with. If that means your heels completely touch the mat, perfect. If not, also perfect. It's totally up to you. Exhale, here is your Vinyasa transition. I'm going to come down onto my knees, little tabletop position here. From tabletop, what I think will be the most effective for me is just doing a couple of cat-cows. Maybe I just do it this round, and then for the next round, I take a little bit more of a transition. Make it a little bit harder for myself. Wherever you are, giving space to that, noticing your breath and trying to move with that breath. So when I say inhale, maybe you're dropping your belly to look forward. When I say exhale, maybe you're rounding and curling. Inhale, look forward, reset. Exhale, this is different, so listen. Exhale, drop your chest between your palms. So you will come down all the way onto the mat. It's as if we are doing a push-up position, but we are not up on our heels. Inhale and lift up through a baby cobra. Exhale, up through tabletop. Find your breath. Step back through downward facing dog. Whew. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step that left leg. Left foot steps between the palms. Maybe bringing back that rocking motion if that felt good for you. If not, curling that back toe, stepping forward, forward fold. Inhale, slow roll up all the way. So that was one side. Sorry, I'm just going to fix my hair here. So that was one side. We'll go to the left side now. So we did the right side. Anything that you did in the left side that felt, anything that you did in the right side that felt good for your body, remember that and see if you can play with it again on the left side. So if that means you did a little bit of a cat-cow and you really liked that instead of going for a full chaturanga, maybe stay with that. It's up to you. So here we go. We just rolled up, warmed up our spine, and now we'll exhale, fold all the way over. Inhale, halfway lift. My hands are coming to my shins this time. Exhale, this is different, so keep an eye out. We'll send our left foot forward in a low lunge. Okay, here's our little posture. Exhale, press away, little half split. Woo, straightening that front leg. Maybe that's the first time you've done a position like this all day. I know it has for me. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, rock back. Inhale and rock forward. You take a breath here. Notice where you are. Resetting, curl that back toe, lift up that back shin, send the right foot back to meet the left toe. You've been here before, downward facing dog. From here, you can either look forward and drop your knees, or have everything stay lifted and take a full chaturanga. Full chaturanga just means you drop through a plank pose, and then, you drop onto your belly and then come up through a plank pose. Nice little cobra position. I'm going to go with cat-cow, I think. Inhaling to look forward. Exhaling to round my spine. Sometimes I like to kind of let my hips come forward when I round my spine. Inhale, dropping the belly. Exhale, round and curl. Now that I'm here, same kind of thing. I have my chest right between my palms. I'm going to bring it to the ground. So I'm quite literally just going to drop my chest between my palms. I'm in a nice little tabletop position. I'm not forcing anything, I'm not pushing anything, but I definitely feel like I can just let myself go. From here, maybe you do a different version of baby cobra. Maybe you keep your palms floating a few inches off the ground. Inhale and lift. Exhale, let it go. Try it again. Inhale and lift. Exhale, let it go. Inhale up however you would like to. I'm going to go through tabletop, curling my toes, and then lift through downward facing dog. Whew. Exhale, come to your mat and take a seat. You can take a seat in any way that's comfortable for you. Again, I told you we'd come back for breathing exercises, and here we are. Here's when it comes back to you. Let's try something with a little bit more heat, shall we? So we've just started to move around a little bit. Our body's like, okay, I can see what's happening. I know where this is going. Let's use that and start to actually warm up. So we did warm up the spine. We definitely feel that looseness and kind of that like fluidity. We just feel like, just moving side to side here. I'm just letting my joints kind of do what they want. I don't know about you, but if you sit in a desk chair or if you sit, at a computer all day, it's very easy to let ourselves be stiff and not be fluid. Whew, maybe going off of that fluidity, you add in a twist. Twist over to one side, come back, twist to the other. Maybe you like just staying static. Kind of want to just circle my chest, and then I'll go the other way. Remembering that your yoga practice can be not a punishment of something your body can't do, but a celebration of what you can. Keeping that in mind is very important these days. Okay. And here's our heating breath, our bellows breath. When I say the word bellows, we think of something that stokes a fire. So bellows, you squish through the handles and there goes your flame that stokes your fire. Keeping that in mind, how can you kind of get there in your intercostal muscles? How can you get there through your abdominals? If you focus on it, we kind of have something called our Agni, It's a part of Sanskrit, which means fire. So in our inner flame, our inner fire, our digestive fire, which is what we see it as in Sanskrit. So from there, thinking about that, thinking of creating that internal fire, stoking that internal fire, let's place our palms facing up on our inner thigh. Maybe you make sure you can move, especially through the shoulders. Maybe you make sure you're not like holding on to any tension. You don't want to feel like your ears are right in your shoulders. Vastrika will look different. So keeping that in mind, you'll still have that slight bend in the elbows. You'll inhale through your nose and you'll also exhale through your nose. So what we'll do is we'll inhale through the nose to grow taller. So same kind of movement. I kind of curved up. I kind of imagine like, it reminds me of a fish coming out of water to snag something. If that makes sense, just kind of, or a whale or something, just kind of pressing myself up. And then as I exhale, which will still be through my nose, I'll kind of let my chin fall to my chest. So it'll look like this. Let me just catch my breath. Woo! Okay, here we go. That is one round. So again, it's very breathy, it's very loud, and it's very expelling. When I say it's very expelling, I mean you're literally trying to throw the air from your belly. So just, but this time out of your nose. So we did that before. We did in our breath of fire. I don't know why did you change here. In our breath of fire, we really are focused on letting it out with a forceful, but this time we're focusing on a forceful through the nose. So that exhalation is very forceful and it expels air very quickly. So we want to kind of feel that way. So let's try it. Let's do a couple rounds. Maybe you do 5 rounds at your own pace or with me. It's totally up to you. Remember that no one can pick on you or say anything. This is absolutely your practice. I'm here to facilitate. So let's do 5 rounds. Maybe you close your eyes if that helps you at all. Maybe it feels good to kind of reset. So here we are. My palms are flipped up on my thighs. I'm going to inhale all the way up, holding it for a second. Now I flip it out through my nose and I expel the air forcefully. Notice how that felt. Notice if you do feel like your body is starting to heat up. Whenever I do this one, if I haven't had enough to drink, if I hadn't really drank enough water during the day, I'll kind of feel it in my head and feel like a little bit of a head rush, which is how I know that, okay, I need to kind of check in with myself more. But here we go. Let's try it again. Inhale. Exhale through your nose. Okay, that was round 2. Let's do for 3 more. Same thing, kind of allow that fluidity in your spine in these different practices. See if you can allow some of that in, how you can kind of let your body dance through this movement and use this piece of practice as kind of a dance for you for the day. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through the nose, expel it out. A great way to think about this is like feeling like you have a fan on when you drop your head and you drop your chin to your chest. I feel like I have a fan coming right down to my feet, blowing cool air on me. It's kind of how I like to picture it. We have 2 more rounds at your own pace or with me. It's up to you. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, compress all the air out of your belly like stoking a fire. 1 more round. You can do this kind of at your own pace or with me. It really doesn't matter either way. Notice if there's something that could make it a little bit more impactful for you. For me, my body just really wants to kind of constantly stay moving today. I just kind of feel like I want to be doing something. I'm not sure what, but I want to be just moving around a little bit more than I did today. 1 last round and my body's like, okay, expel the air out, get it going, start working, start sweating a little bit. So we'll kind of honor that. Inhale, here we go. Extend and expel. Expel through the nose. There you go. Sit with that for a second. And we'll do a kind of a modified Sun Salutation B, which is fun. It is a little quicker. This is a little more like Vinyasa, but I'm just going to notch it down a few so that it feels a little bit more doable for all of us. So you can meet me standing. Again, I'm going to face you from the side just so you can see me better. And here comes our nice little Sun B. So I'm going to ask you to inhale, chair pose. Exhale, chair with airplane arms. So you set those arms back behind you, keeping your chest kind of lifted and keeping your tail kind of seated where you are, where you feel like you're bending your knees and kind of dropping into your feet here, your lower body. Feel like it should be difficult. Maybe you have some space between your toes here. Exhale, forward fold, fall all the way forward. Feel free to use your blocks. Staying here for a second, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, here comes your Chaturanga. So remember, we didn't practice a full Chaturanga, that was on purpose. So you can take any version of Chaturanga that feels good in your body. For me, when I say, okay, exhale, flow high to low plank, I think, okay, so let's flow. Let's do something a little challenging. Let's flow a bear crawl and then drop down. Bear crawl, drop down. Bear crawl, I'm letting my feet hover 2 inches off the mat. Drop down. And drop down. Giving myself a little bit of fire here. Then when I feel ready, what I'm going to do is press my chest to the mat like we did in our Ardha Namaskar. Exhale, extend everything out. Inhale, I'm going to reach forward and let my arms come to kind of goalposts here. And then I'm going to lift. Inhale, lift. Inhale, lift. And lower everything down. On your next inhale, you can press back up, either through plank, through cat-cow, or tabletop, and find a nice little reset. So for me, that's a cat-cow. Let your breaths be very natural here. I'm going to extend my back toes here, lift up through downward facing dog, and here's a little bit of a challenge here. I'm going to send my left toe to come between my palms. So normally I would lift up through like a dog, but I don't really feel like doing that right now. It doesn't feel good to me, so I'm going to stay this way. I'm going to inhale and open up my arms kind of like a windmill here. But instead of going all the way over, I'm going to come into this nice little lifted version of a simple twist. So quite literally, I have some weight on my left palm, which is down on the mat, and then I have the rest of my weight in my feet, keeping me balanced. If this isn't attainable for you, drop that back knee and enjoy a nice simple twist. If this isn't enough for you, again, lift that back leg up off the mat. Try to press back up and find the shape of simple twist. That is not happening for me today, so I'm going to enjoy where I am right now. Exhale, let it go. Whew. Nice little rocking back and forth here. Kind of just resetting. Whew. Exhale, step it back through downward facing dog. Inhaling here. Woo. Exhale. Inhale, look forward, walk, step, or jump. Maybe you just hop to a little bit more of the middle of the mat. Exhale, forward fold here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. We've been here before. Inhale, roll up very slowly. One vertebra at a time. Reset your space. Bring your blocks to where they will be most helpful. We'll do it one more time for one more round. Whew. Here we go. One more round. Let's make it the best one yet. And let's notice anything that makes us feel like we don't really want to do it. If our body says, no, I don't think I'll do that today, let's honor that. Inhale, arms overhead, chair pose. Exhale, bring those arms to an airplane position. Exhale, float over your knees here. Forward fold. Inhale, maybe grabbing the blocks. Extend the spine. And from here, we've done it before. We did it last time. We'll come through whatever position feels good. So for me, I'm going to say, all right, let me send my blocks out of my way here. Whew. And I'm going to come to a tabletop because this is what feels good for me right now. When I inhale, I'll drop my belly like I did on the other side. And I exhale to round and curl. Same thing, trying again. Inhale, dropping the belly. Exhale, round and curl. So same thing I did on the other side. I did it when I was doing kind of the left version of this. So on the right, I'm just going to drop my chest between my palms. From here, I'll extend and let everything go along on the mat. Inhale, bringing my arms to a goalpost position, maybe even using the blocks to reach in front of me and lift. Wherever feels comfortable for you. For me, it feels comfortable to have my arms at goalposts. Inhale, lift. Exhale and lift. Maybe a little baby cobra here. Exhale, press it back. Whew. Coming back through tabletop. So we did it with the right leg this time. Let's extend back through downward facing dog. Inhale. This time you'll sweep that left foot forward. Again, same thing, simple twist. This time we're on the left side. So I'm looking at my right hand. It is flat palm on the mat. Even thinking for this side, I'm not as bendy on this side, so I might just stash a block right under that right palm. I'm going to use my back hand and place it on my sacrum. That's the flat part of the spine, to open up and notice if I'm working too hard or if my body is telling me this isn't what I'm looking for. Maybe I inhale and extend my arm up overhead. Again, if this isn't hard enough for you, maybe you decide to lift up. Maybe that feels like impossible, like for me today. I just am going to stay right here. If this feels impossible, maybe you drop that back knee. Whew. Exhale, let it go. Come out of it. Maybe do a little bit of that back and forth kind of seesaw movement. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog. From here, the same thing I did as last time. Instead of a hop, I think I'll just walk my feet to meet my palms. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, slow roll up. Exhale, come down to the mat and take a seat. Whew. So we got a little bit of heat in. We're about 35 minutes in, just to give you kind of a ballpark of where we are. And now we'll go into a cooling breath, because at this point we should feel like, whew, I just moved my body. I feel like I'm moving, and that's good. That's a good feeling. So keeping that in mind, take a moment to take a few normal breaths here. As you're kind of noticing and observing your breath, maybe you're moving your sitting posture to be a little bit more comfortable or a little bit more amenable to what you're feeling. On your next inhale, we'll kind of reverse it. This time we'll inhale through our mouth and exhale through our nose. So in that way, imagine like you're holding a straw between your lips. So seal your lips except for a very small opening where it seems like you could put a reusable straw. Inhale, suck in. Exhale, let it go through your nose. Same basic function as that breath of fire, just completely opposite. Instead of letting it out through our mouth, we're letting it out through our nose and breathing in through our mouth. Same thing, imagine you've got that straw, and I say reusable because it's important, that metal piece so you feel like your lips cannot move, you can't bend or squish. So imagine that you have this brass or metal straw between your lips. You inhale. Exhale out your nose. Really good. Try that for 3 more rounds, just so we do a number of 5 to kind of cool us down, bring us back to where we are. Inhale, imagine that straw. Exhale through your nose. Another great way to do this is by curling the tongue and keeping the mouth open, but it's up to you. I like to pretend the straw actually helps me a little bit more. Inhale, sucking in through a straw. Exhale through the nose. Come back to this space. Check in with your breath. Notice if you feel a nice kind of cooling sensation kind of hitting specifically the midline of your body. That's kind of what I think. I imagine as you suck in, you kind of allow this beam of energy to just kind of fill your being and cool you down in this way. It's a little peek into my brain. Meet me in a butterfly position, but before you do, notice if your shoulders feel a little tense. Notice if you feel like you want to do maybe a child's pose. That's what my body's asking for right now. So I'll keep my knees wide. I'll have my toes, my big toes touching together. I'll exhale, walk my palms out. And I'll surrender my head to the mat. If surrendering the forehead to the mat isn't feeling good or comfortable, feel free to use a block. So you can put a block right under your forehead, extend those arms, and rest your head on the block. If that doesn't feel comfortable, another really great way to do this is to kind of bend your forearms and stack them and press your head on top of that little stack of arms there. Couple of breaths here. The thing to focus on is really that gentle rise and fall of the belly. That's the feeling we have when we're asleep or just about to drift off. The point where our body feels weightless, very supported. The point in our day when we trust our body to go back to muscle memory, we kind of go on autopilot. A few more breaths here. Using whatever breath feels good for you. Pressing yourself up to a seated position. Coming into butterfly, as I mentioned before we had our nice little check-in. Find how butterfly feels for you the way that we started class. So if butterfly feels really impossible right now, or maybe not even helpful, maybe you don't actually lift your legs here. Maybe you just kind of stay kind of at like a diamond shape. Maybe you just push those legs further and further out in front of you so it feels even more restorative. For me, my hips really want a little bit of a stretch. So what I'm going to do is inhale, extending through my spine, and then exhale to kind of settle into the posture. And by doing so, I kind of allow gravity to do the work on my hips here. So quite literally, without even really doing much on my own, my hips went from about here, and now they fall down a good 2 inches just by letting gravity do the work. We've already done enough work at this point. We got through the hardest part of our class. Now we can kind of hand it over to the universe and let the universe take control. As you're here, you can take your right leg and extend it to the diagonal to the 45 here. So essentially, kind of like a dancer's pose when we're stretching, when we're kind of see people doing not acrobatics, when we see people doing aerobics and we see them kind of reach their right hand over and their left hand across. We don't have to do that, but that's kind of what we can picture here. But instead of reaching for the toe and just going sideways, imagine reaching for the toe with 2 fingers and then lifting up through the chest. So your 2 fingers are here. You'll hook around your big toe, stretch over, but instead of collapsing forward, you'll keep your chest raised. That lifted sensation is really, really great because it makes us sure that we're not just collapsing into whatever pose we may be doing. Inhale. Exhale, come out of it. Switch those legs. This time the right leg, the left leg, my goodness, comes out to the diagonal. Same thing, grabbing your 2 fingers. These are your fingers that you do in Padangusthasana, where you can kind of hook your toe. It's the same situation here. So you'll hook your big toe with these 2 fingers. And then focus on inhaling to sit up. Exhale to bend over, but not down, right? Getting a little bit of hamstring action there. few more breaths. Inhale. Exhale and come out of it. Turning yourself so that you are kind of parallel with your mat here. You're still on your mat, but essentially you're not perpendicular anymore. And bringing yourself into a pigeon pose. Pigeon pose means you have tucked your right leg here and kind of made this little bend in your knee. And then you've kept your right leg straight. So the left leg is bent, the right leg is straight. So you're in your little pigeon pose, pigeon resting pose. From here, I'd invite you to grab your blocks and bring those forearms to meet the block so that you take some pressure off of your upper body. Again, we're letting gravity do the work because we already did a lot to get here. Now we want to enjoy some restorative movement. I like to kind of rock from side to side. For example, I'm rocking over my right hip. It helps to have a little bit more movement in my hips. And like I said, I've been really into fluidity today. I feel like I need a little bit more of a fluid motion. Maybe this is easy for you. Maybe you drop your forearms to the mat completely and you can rest your head on your forearms. Honoring whichever stage of the process you are in, reminding yourself that it is personalization. Always, always, always. A few more seconds here. Just enjoying this really restorative posture. Exhale and come out of it. This time you can swap it around. A great way to do that is to kind of bring this right leg forward as if you were going to sit crisscross applesauce facing forward. And then you'll tuck that right leg behind you in a nice little kind of like a funky little yogi pose. And then send that left leg long behind you. So you're in the complete opposite. You just did on the other side. You're mirroring the exact movement you did. Same thing, find where it's comfortable, find where you might be pushing yourself a little bit. Make sure we're not going over that. And then drop onto your forearms if it feels good for you. Allowing yourself to enjoy a restorative posture now that the work is done. Maybe the universe feels really heavy on the back of your neck. Maybe you just want to let your head kind of hang. Maybe that's what you're calling for this evening. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, come on out of it. Come to face the camera once more. If you're still with me and still feeling like, okay, I could use a little bit more, here is your challenge for the day. It is a crow pose. I love to use crow pose as a challenge because you can do it at pretty much any level of yoga. So here we go. Let's come up onto a little bit of a tabletop with our toes tucked underneath us. Lean back, come into this little kind of sitting on your haunches kind of pose. I'll come up to kind of balance out my toes. Like if I took my hands away, I probably wouldn't be able to stay stable for very long. And from here, I'm going to inhale, look forward. Exhale, bring my palms to the mat, and then bend my arms forward so I have a table of sorts to put my knees on. Whew. So really using this big bend in the arms. The more that you bend your elbow here, the easier it's going to feel. So using that as kind of a table of sorts. So it's that bend in the elbow. It's right here. And then you kind of get this area right here that you can let your knee kind of rest on while you lift and press the mat away as hard as you can. Maybe your toes come off the mat. Maybe they don't. Maybe you're like, not today, totally fine. Once you've played around with it for a second, whew, exhale, roll back onto your spine. Take a few cleansing breaths here. Exhale, pull your left knee into your chest. Right leg goes long on the mat. Exhale and cross over the midline of the body. Nice little twisted figure four here. I've extended my left arm out and onto the floor. I have my head turned that way as well. A few more breaths. Exhale, pulling that knee back to the chest. One more little squeeze. Exhale, swap it out. This time the left leg goes long. Right leg comes into the chest. Here comes that slow rocking movement. Whew. Exhale, I kind of rocked myself over. This time I'm rolling onto the left side. I'm looking over to the right. Maybe I put a palm on the outside of my right knee here. Now, just so that we never end with a twist, come out of it and come into a nice little reclined butterfly pose. So you'll literally bring your knees together and then exhale to let them fall open with your toes to toes and heels touching heels. This is a great way to take Shavasana if you'd like. But if you're not feeling it, that's totally fine too. As we move into Shavasana, I'm going to come out of this position so I can kind of lead us through a little meditation. You're welcome to let your arms and legs go long as you lay against the mat. In these few minutes, if you feel like you missed something in your practice, if you feel like there is something you've been wanting to work on that we didn't, you're more than welcome to take that moment now. Before I start kind of walking us through a closing meditation, you're absolutely welcome to try a challenge. Maybe try a posture you wanted to do and didn't get a chance to try last time. As always, honoring what your body is asking for. Maybe if you're feeling sluggish and slow, you don't go for a full back bending posture. Maybe that's a little bit much. Also reminding ourselves that we don't want to expect perfection in any of these postures. Every single posture looks different on every single body. Letting your breath rise and fall without the sensation of attaching anything to it, without feeling like, oh man, I should be breathing this way, or I'm not breathing loud enough. Every time you think one of those thoughts, just letting it escape. Allowing yourself to enjoy the present moment. Reminding ourselves that life is a practice. Never in our lives will we achieve perfection, at least not in the way that we make it seem so necessary to attain in this Western world. I can kind of feel myself cooling off a good amount now that I've practiced a little bit. I love having the opportunity to teach trauma sensitive yoga because it forces me to stay on my mat and actually do the motions. In Vinyasa and other types of more westernized yoga, you would normally see the instructor walking around the room the whole time, not necessarily doing the workout or doing the work with you. I always found that to be a little disheartening. And that's something that I've really loved about trauma sensitive yoga, is that we do our own thing and we're all kind of practicing together. Coming into our last 5 minutes here, thinking again about the breath, and this time noticing the quality of the thoughts that come through the mind. Noticing if we're feeling anxiety. Are we able to press that away? Are we able to imagine that we were sweeping sand off of a rug or an entrance, literally taking a broom and sweeping it away so that we can get down to what matters? Letting those thoughts come and go without attachment, just imagining literally coming in with a broom and sweeping them out of the way. Not because they aren't serving us, not because they aren't protecting us, but just because they're not the focus right now. Remembering the purpose of meditation is to literally be not thinking of anything, to empty the mind, which is not an easy task. If you're laying down, maybe you start to notice that creeping in sensation of feeling tired. Challenge for you is to think about, what's the difference between my tired feeling before I fall asleep at night and the feeling I have of just being totally relaxed? Noticing if you can differentiate between the two. Noticing if that's even possible for you right now. Remembering that instead of saying that, this is a safe place, I like to think this is a strong place. And we gather here with strength and to build community together. Throughout the course of this year, we have had so few opportunities to build community in person. It's kind of amazing to see what we've created. I can kind of feel my thoughts creeping back in. So I've started to focus more on a nice deep inhale and a nice deep exhale. Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do this and this and this, I pushed it aside. And change that to, I just need to be here right now. And start to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe rocking yourself up to a seated position. Coming to face your computer, however you're looking at me. Starting to wake up after that nice little meditation. And I want to leave you with a thank you for sharing this space with me. And an acknowledgement again of my identity as a white woman, not someone who is an expert, not someone who is trying to strive for perfection, just someone who's here to learn. And that being said, again, my name is Julie. I believe the next time I teach is in the middle of May or close to the end of May. Anyway, I hope you'll join me for class again. If you'd like to follow me outside of my Hands Heart Center work, I am on Instagram at Julie Does Yoga. And you're welcome to join. Have a fantastic Friday. Happy Easter to those who celebrate, and happy weekend. for those who may just be trying to enjoy and kind of live through these horrific things that are happening right now. That being said, the student and teacher in me admires, respects, and acknowledges that in each and every one of you. Thank you, and namaste.